Ever since I was a child, I've had a bit of a complicated relationship with crows. They can be bossy, territorial, noisy, and sometimes even aggressive. We've had one or two run-ins in the past, which I'll come back to later, but they've always had a special place in my heart. If you just found me, my name's Jo. I'm a mixed media artist based on a narrowboat in Wales. Whenever there's change in my life, I always find myself drawing and painting corvids. Whether that's crows, ravens or magpies, they've always been there. I even have a large magpie tattooed on my arm. Today I'm painting crows. In the past I've gravitated to drawing them in black ink, but for this illustration I want to give them a bit of colour, so I'm using Derwent Inktense paint pans. I've already painted most of the background in. I wish I could be one of those artists whose work looks pristine from start to finish, but I'm way too messy for that. It'll all make sense by the time it's finished though. The first time I remember really noticing crows was from the window of my childhood home in the north of England. I remember a family of magpies nesting each year in the trees at the end of the garden. I spent a lot of time sitting at the window watching them. I'd look forward to seeing them return every spring, and I'd get excited when the fledglings started to emerge from the nest. A pair of carrion crows from the neighbouring park regularly tried to push in and raid the magpie nest, resulting in a big commotion with lots of flapping and squawking. They were never successful as far as I could see, but I'd watch the battle with bated breath, praying the baby magpies would be safe. It all seemed totally simple then. Crows were the bad guys and magpies were the innocent victims. But of course, nature's not that simple, and I only saw a tiny snapshot of their lives and their battles for survival. The magpies used to taunt next door's cat and peck his tail when he was trying to sleep, so I'm sure they weren't innocent victims either. More than 30 years later, I found myself coming head-to-head with crows once again, this time in Wales. Life had taken an unexpected turn and I moved onto a canal boat with my two cats, just as the world shut down and we were forced to isolate in a little marina tucked away in the Welsh countryside. After a few days of settling in, I took the cats out onto the towpath to check out their new surroundings, and the resident crow family decided to introduce themselves. They swooped down to perch on a low branch over my head and started angrily shouting at the cats. I don't think they'd ever seen a cat there before, and they weren't happy about sharing their space with these strange new creatures. That was dispute number one. Over the course of that summer, a territorial battle ensued. Well, I say a battle, it was mostly the crows stealing cat food from the back deck of my boat and the cats running in to hide under my bed. Then, one sunny afternoon, I heard the panicked voice of another boater calling me from outside. I went to investigate and he told me that one of my cats, Pixie, was stuck high up in the top of an ash tree and the crows were attacking her. With my heart in my mouth, I ran to the edge of the wood, and there, way up at the top of a tree, was a mass of cawing, flapping black feathers. I made some noise to scare them off, and then I saw my quivering wreck of a cat, wondering why she ever thought climbing trees was a good idea in the first place. A couple of hours later, we finally managed to get her down and check her over. She was fine, but she never climbed those trees again. The crows became a familiar sight by the canal, and I got to know their patterns throughout the seasons. We put a bit of food out for them in winter and watched as they took what they couldn't eat and cached it in a little hole on the canal side. One old regular was nicknamed Hopalong by the boaters due to his distinctive limp. Visitors would feed him bread and we'd watch as he flew off to his favourite spot to dip it in the water before eating it. If you're enjoying this video, by the way, please do leave me a like or drop me a comment and let me know what birds and animals you feel connected to. Over the years since I've been on this stretch of canal, ash dieback has claimed many of the trees where the crows used to roost, and they don't seem to visit the boats quite as much, though I often do see them flying over and I hear the ravens calling from the nearby redwood forest. Pixie the cat sadly passed away from natural causes last year. Her sister's getting old now and prefers to spend her time curled up by the log burner inside the boat. This autumn, I felt the urge to try and connect with the crows again. I started going for walks around their old territory and leaving a few nuts for them on a tree stump, just in case. The other day, I went to leave some food and I noticed the previous meal had been taken. At first, I thought it'd probably been eaten by a squirrel or by another bird, until I noticed that in its place was this little quartz stone. So, I guess the story continues. If you've enjoyed watching me create this illustration, here's another one I think you're going to love. Go watch that one now, and I'll see you next time. Bye!